Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show, we're talking about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Fear the Walking Dead. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So first and foremost, we have, Alicia showing up with her army, ready to go to war with Strand if need be, but Strand's like, no, come into the tower, have a drink with me, we can, talk this out. And Alicia accepts, because I guess truth be told she didn't want this full-blown war, but it's also just like she had told Morgan last episode, that if she confronts Victor, she's afraid of what she's going to have to do, and she doesn't want to. I think it's also because, she's always, I think, crossing that line with someone that she once cared about, especially, once again, her and Strand go back, not since the beginning, but pretty close to it. Obviously they've always been around each other. They've influenced each other in many different regards over the course of this series. It's always been the two of them to some extent, especially because Alicia's always kind of been his better angels, but he always tends to lean towards his worst devils. But still, Alicia gets brought in. Wes is super against it because he's like, right, she's your blind spot. She's going to use that to her advantage. But Strand's like, no, I got it covered. And it turns out what his plan is to get Alicia to live in a tower with him. He's basically, once again, he kept her on the outside because he wanted to prove that, no, I want to show you that I'm right. But it's like, no, I'm bringing you on the inside to show you I'm right. That the way I've gone about things is for the betterment of everyone. That, because before it was about legacies, and it's like, was that really all it ever... it has always been about Alicia. Whether it's trying to convince himself that it wasn't about Alicia, telling him that he doesn't need Alicia. He kept her on the outskirts. He always pushed her away because he was always like, right, I need to be away from you because you can be my witness. And he my weakness. And he flip-flopped on about that for so long, He flip-flopped with that, I think, last season. He flip-flopped with it a lot this season. He can never fully make up his mind, and I think that's always the complicated thing about Strand, that he is so conflicted, even when he says he's fully determined. The fact is, you stood on your, steadfast in your position for so long, but even then, you still flip-flopped along the way, and now that Alicia's here, you're flip-flopping even more, which is Wes's issue. That it's like, right, you're letting her control you so much, so... Daniel also speaks in because he's still under the impression of Ophelia's there, which Strand knows what's what. It's like, yeah, we're going to lock him in the basement for now, but eventually he's going to get dealt with and get thrown over the roof. To be fair, there's never been no love lost between Strand and Daniel. There's always been beef there for the longest time possible. So, but, because Wes had told him about what Luciana had done, so... Strand's ultimate plan is to draw in the walkers from the crater, but I was like, they're not there. But I guess I guess that's trying to say that the person who's been secretly letting them out this entire time has been, I guess little by little, he's been leading them somewhere so that he could always prepare for I guess that was always going to be his tactical move, was I guess in case anyone ever tried to get to him, he'd recreate the moat, so he was okay with them leading the others away, because I'm gonna lead you into a false sense of security. You're gonna try to come towards the tower, and I'm gonna lead the worst of the worst walkers, the ones that are the most infected, come this direction and kind of box you in and leave you no other route to go, because you can't do close quarter combat with those things to some extent, because those are going to be the worst and most affected ones, and being in that close proximity of them will be your end and your demise. So I guess it's kind of a win-win situation in that regard for him. But at least just telling him not to do this. Strand obviously won't listen. I guess they forgot about her hand situation. Or maybe I'm trying to remember, because Wes hasn't been around Alicia, so he doesn't know about her hand, so he wasn't expecting it, nor was anyone else. I don't remember if Strand got it good enough. He knows she had a blade on her hand, but I don't know if he knows that, she's just wearing a glove. He doesn't know about her hand circumstance. He knows to some extent. I just don't know. He didn't see that coming when she still actually had a weapon on her. Once again, it makes sense with Wes and everyone else in the tower, because, Wes hasn't been around Alicia to know all of her current circumstances, as well as everyone else in the tower not knowing Alicia like that, so... Alicia ends up taking Strand hostage, and it's like, right, we're going to go to the tower, we're going to cut that light off, and we're also going to let that ends up coming up later about letting out June, Grace, and Wendell. But ultimately, Alicia's in too bad of a condition, and now she explains to Strand is like, right, you can't save me. Like, my condition has been getting worse. I've tried everything, but I'm doomed. And in that moment, Strand's like, no, we'll do whatever we can. Grace, June is like, they can't do anything for me. Because despite everything, it's like, now is this moment. It's like, no, you're here. I need you around. Like, fine, then, make a deal with me. I will turn off the light. You'll call off your army if you promise to stay here. Whatever time you have left, like, stay with me. Because he needs her. He wants her by his side. And he kind of describes her later on as kind of like the closest thing he's ever had to a daughter, which I thought was interesting. I guess, because, I guess him and Madison did a little bit of co-parenting when it came to the whole Nick and Alicia. But when it came to Nick and Alicia, so... But once again, he always had a special affinity towards the Clark family. Like, he always resonated with Madison. They were like two peas in the pod. He really liked Nick a lot. And he also took a heavy liking to Alicia. Like, he's always been fond of everyone in that family. I'm trying to think in retrospect, like, I guess he was fine with Travis. He never probably really connected with Travis, but it's, or Chris for that matter, but, that's kind of like Travis's side of the family, but it was mainly, Madison, Alicia, and Nick that he really connected with, so it kind of makes sense to some extent. But the moment he got the opportunity, your boy Wes is like, you know what, screw that. No, I'm not going to let Alicia destroy everything that you built. You're going to let her come destroy it all. Because it's sad because, like, Wes's philosophies of people are people and not believing in the better of people, like, he subsided it for such a long time, but it started creeping in more and more. Ever since he killed his brother, that guilt, it made him kind of just believe, like, oh yeah, people are selfish, people are terrible, though. I think he started believing that about himself, and then he also, Luciana's situation is what really sent him over the edge, the whole, like, oh, you're manipulating Daniel. I think it's just, truth be told, he was just using that as an excuse. At the heart of it all, Wes's whole thing was he'd rather kind of keep it realistic, because hope is such a dangerous thing, because it'll make you start believing and fighting for something that's not true. Once again, he believes that everyone else's belief in everything is 100% BS, because it's easier to be nihilistic and pessimistic about this rather than being optimistic, because he's like, no, it's all BS because it hurts too much, because it's like, right, you're being let down by people. He's like, at least Victor is at least clear with who he is, even when you, Luciana, are all trying to pretend like you're something better. You're just the same as Victor. At least he's honest about it. So I can ride with someone who knows who he is and accepts who he is. And that's also the thing for Victor too. He's saying that I am who I am. Like, I'm kind of steadfast in not who I am, but I'm like, I don't think that is. You still don't know who you really are. You're so in constant flux and butty heads with who you believe you are. Wes has decided to kind of take control of things, because it's like, right, I'll save you from yourself in this case, Victor. Well, save you from Alicia, because it's like, right, you guys want to go back out there to be struggling to, live out in that whole circumstance. It's like, right, stay here and, like, fight for the tower, fight for what was built, essentially, is what he's going for, so. Then they have to go to Daniel, because he's the only other person in the tower they can get, go to for help, while they try to get to the top, where, once again, Grace, Wendell, and June are being held. And so they end up upon Daniel, who's already making his own escape, and he's like, yo, where's Ophelia? Which is like, she's not here, but Daniel sadly is stuck memory-wise. His memories keep flashing back to when, was that season 3 or was that season 2? I don't remember now. That might have been season 3, I don't remember. When he was still under the impression that Ophelia was at the hotel because Strand kept lying to him, telling him exactly where he knew where Ophelia was. It's like, whoa, he didn't. So now Daniel's mind is stuck there. It's like, oh, yeah, Ophelia's sick, but Strand doesn't know where she told me he knew where she is. And you can tell Victor's like, damn it, I know which memories he's stuck in right now. It's like, right, she's in a penthouse, you can trust me, which you have Alicia being like, don't lie to Daniel. The moment he finds out the truth, it's going to break him. You know what that's going to turn into, but for him, it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. As long as we reach the top, it's going to be fine. Because once again, this is all about he wants her to stay here. He needs her to be a part of all this because he's like, I need to show you that I wasn't wrong. And that ends up being this heartbreaking conversation he has with her later, saying that the reason why he had to strive so hard to prove he was right, because if he wasn't, everything he did would have been for nothing. I mean, all the terrible things I did to get us here, to build this place, it would have all been for naught. And then, and that's the hard thing to live with, because he made what he believed to be hard choices. But it's also like, you want to make it seem like, yeah, I made the hard choices, but it feels like a lot of times you made the easy choice, the selfish choice. But in his mind, it's like, no, I'm doing something for the greater good. It's like, no, you're building something for yourself. You want it to be something important. You want it to be something special. You wanted to build something that was going to defend you, And all this talk about him calling out Morgan and stuff like that, yada, yada, yada. But when the time comes, Alicia does pass out. And it's kind of sad that even because he's so focused on Ophelia, he's not caring much about Alicia. And I guess it's like maybe because where his memories are, he's not that close to Alicia, like, because his memories are still stuck around like Ophelia being alive. So I think those are still early seasons. This isn't like after everything that they've been through. So he has, even with his earlier memories, he still is, because with the way his mind is, it's hard to say how much is like, right, he still believes Ophelia is alive, but he has all his current memories. I don't know if that works, or maybe his memories only take him back up to a certain extent. Whatever the case may be, the fact is he's so like, right, we don't have time for this, I gotta find Ophelia, and you're not even worried about Alicia. But Strand is. But Daniel found the list of people that are in the tower, and I don't know why Strand told him that. I'm like, you should have known he would have flipped through it, but he's like, fine, Ophelia isn't here. She died in Mexico, Strand. She died in Mexico, Daniel, remember? And then shows up, right, you want me to show you your daughter? I was like, wait, did you find her walker? But I was like, no. She got, they made sure to stab her brain so she didn't come back as a walker. At least I think they stabbed her, or did Daniel might have shot her, I don't remember. Because she had already died by the time Daniel got there, but to make sure she didn't turn into a walker, I think he's the one that finished, he stabbed her brain or shot it. I don't remember now. So there's that. But then there's also the situation but that's why I was like, oh, so it can't be that. So who is he referencing? And it's Charlie. I was like, oh, right. I'd actually completely forgotten, Charlie and Daniel they had gotten super close. I'd completely forgotten about that. And it's like, no, she's not Ophelia. She's not my daughter. It's like, yes, but you do care about her a lot. She is the closest thing you have to a daughter. She is dying. And it's like, and both Alicia and Strand kind of talk him down. Be there for Charlie. Charlie doesn't have much time left. And now Alicia's finding that out too, because she knew she had a timetable, and now finding out wait, Charlie's got one too, which is even sadder because considering their history and how Alicia and everything got over, they moved past, the whole right, you manipulated us, your group attacked, the vultures or something like that, ended up attacking the baseball stadium, and then on top of that, Charlie's the one who killed Nick, so that whole thing. So, but they are in a gooder. They were in a much better place. So I think for her, it's also right, this is someone so young dying, and also where their history is that, it's I think it's just heartbreaking to see her go through that, because it's right, Alicia's going through what she's going through, and now knowing oh man, there's someone else going through it too. And it's but wait, it's what she's going, it's yeah, but her situation might be even worse than yours. It's right, alpha particles or something like that. So she's only got a couple weeks at best. So, but they were able to talk Daniel down, because it's right, do for Charlie that you couldn't do for Ophelia. And in that moment, he does remember Ophelia being dead. His mind is a little clearer. I think because with Luciana and stuff, his mind was clearer, but now his mind, because he was drowning in so many regrets. There's so much he didn't get to do and say with Ophelia. He never got to tell her everything. He never got to be sorry and all that. But with Charlie, he gets to stay by her side. He's like, no, this is where I want to be. He's like, with you around, my head feels clearer, because I think he's able to be there for her in a way he couldn't be for Ophelia, be who he is, like the way he could be with Ophelia. So it's like, she's like, I'm sorry, and Charlie apologized, I'm sorry I'm not Ophelia. He's like, no, it's okay, Ophelia's gone, but you're here, and I'm going to stay by your side. So Strand and Alicia lock and load, and are ready to do their thing, and Strand going, he's like, no, I've been in a situation where I don't know where I was going. I was like, oh, right. And he even referenced it later on. It's at the beginning of the season where him and Will were in the fog. And I was like, right. Interesting. And he made his way through, but Wes was waiting for him. It's like, right, I'm giving you another chance, my guy. Like, walk away from, do not let Alicia destroy everything that you built. You've built something great here. You've had to go about things some nasty ways, but it's for the greater good. This is something that needs to be built this way. But then it turns, well, once again, Strand opens up about, right, I built this place for you. Once again, Alicia's the biggest motivation. He wanted to build this place to show her that he could do it. Like, it was all just a kind of a large statement and monument to her, to some, in a strange, weird way. But Wes ends up revealing that there's a communication device that she had. And for Alicia, her plan was to get to the roof and send out a message to everyone. Padre doesn't exist, but it could. This tower could be Padre. But Wes is like, nah, she's lying. She's going to bring people here, and they're going to have more of an army, and they're going to outnumber us. So don't let her lie to you. And I was almost like, I wasn't sure which way Alicia was leading. Was she going to call people here to tell them it's Padre, which could still in turn, it could be one or the other, or it could be both, that she could lead people here thinking it's Padre, and it's like, but you're also going to have to fight for Padre. So you need to we need to take the tower. Especially now knowing how bad things are out there, especially with Charlie's circumstances, that they can't be out there. The sub, the sub is in the conditions it's in now. So it's like, yeah, this is kind of a Hail Mary of like, this is the only safe place left now. So they have to kind of put all their eggs in this one basket. Daniel shows up and he shoots everyone. It comes down to it, Alicia and Wes. And Alicia's still begging and pleading for Wes to stop all this. That, it's like, right, I saved your life once. We both did. We can find a way together forward. But for Wes, it's just like, no, he doesn't want to believe in this cause anymore. And Strand ends up killing him. And Strand says he did it because, just like with this tower, I did it so you wouldn't have to. And I'm like, okay. So he's like, right, I built this great place, hoping that eventually, like on some level, thinking like Alicia will eventually get here and we can be here together and we can kind of rule it together, but I won't have to go about things the savage way I've had to go about them before. Like, I won't have to be so hardcore about it because I have to do maybe the super hard choice to do the terrible things because that's who I am. I get to do that so that Alicia doesn't have to, and I killed Wes so that you wouldn't have to. But ultimately, that ends up being his undoing because when they are about to turn off the lights, Strand stops. He's like, no, because if I do this, you were never going to forgive me. She's like, what? This is not the time. It's like, once again, everyone's lives are in the balance. And what is Strand doing? He's still bargaining. He's like, no. You were never going to forgive me, were you? And she's like, no, I wasn't. She was being swayed by Strand because she started seeing kind of the Strand that she forgave time and time again. But what really pushed her over the edge was him killing Wes. It's like, you didn't kill Wes for me. You killed him to save your own life because she knew that, I guess, and the way I interpret that is her saying like, right, if Wes killed me, he would have still killed you afterwards and took control of the tower. So, or maybe it's like, right, you were doing it because you wanted me on your side, but in fact, you just ended up pushing me off. I can't forgive you because you want to say like who you were before wasn't who you really were, and that this, once again, he's always had a bit of an identity issue, despite what he says. But it's already too late. The walkers are already closing in. The group outside, they had like a mini reunion. Grace, Sarah, and Wendell. Sarah and Wendell getting to meet again. June and Grace reuniting with everyone. And Daniel calling calling Lucy out for being a liar. And it's like, right, what Strand did was just continuing what you did. And it's like, why'd you do it? And it's just like Strand, it's like, right, we needed you to have a reason to keep fighting. We just need a reason for you to keep going. So it kind of sucks that we had to go about it this way, but Luciana thought in the long run it was what was necessary for everyone else. But now the argument could be like, Luciana set a lot of stuff in motion. Like, maybe, she's probably going to regret it now. Like, right, if she hadn't done what she did, Daniel wouldn't have gone through what he did, which he got closure. Everything kind of worked out in the end, being with Charlie. Granted, he's about to lose her, given some time. Well, granted, there's so much other stuff at play here. And then you add on top of it, Wes being dead too. So I'm sure Luciana's going to feel a way about it. Or maybe she'll chalk it up to, sadly, the casualties of war. Wes chose his side, and this is that. But the light ends up crashing down. When that wire got loose, I was scared for a second. I'm like, are we about to Final Destination somebody? I thought it was going to be Strand or Alicia. Like, one of them was going to get, like that wire was going to snap and, like, decapitate someone or something like that. That's what my mind is, because I've watched too many Final Destination movies, so I was expecting something of that nature. But it's just that the light fell, but doesn't stop the fact that all the walkers are already there. But Alicia uses this opportunity to reach out to everyone out there, like, right, this tower is Padre, this could be the place, this could be your sanctuary, but we also need you to save us. But then she passes out, but then also the tower is on fire from everything. So now the question is, this place that was supposed to be their salvation, can it be their salvation? They've got walkers out front, they're trapped on the inside, the place is burning, Alicia's unconscious. Where do we go from here? We'll ultimately have to wait to see where the next episode takes us with all of this. Caught little glimpses of it. I don't know what those glimpses I've seen mean in the grand scheme of things, what the future of the tower is. We'll have to, like I said, wait and see, because we're only 2 episodes left this season, so it's going to be very, very interesting, especially because, like, right, you do have people like Charlie who's sick, so do you abandon the tower? Do you try to fight it? Can you even save it? We saw what happened to, they ended up rebuilding to some extent, but even in the OG show, there's the whole situation on the hilltop after the whole attack from the Whisperers last season, I believe that was, yes. So, either way, it's going to be interesting to see what happens next. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.